India. It's just another day at the office, and for me, the office is the tiny space squashed between the bar, the supervisor's room, and the gaming area, also known as the cashier's counter, but which most of us refer to as the cage. Working long shifts, as cashier I refer to as a cage match, especially on bingo nights where the old and the pitiful seem to tag team you with their problems and annoyances. I suppose you could call this Murphy's Law, or maybe it's simply because we have so many machines that at any given time, if one breaks, then something will happen to 3 others at the exact same fucking moment. My machine's broken. One customer will wail like she's in a hospital ward with a child that needs urgent medical attention. Another old bitch stands by hers and says loudly, "My machine's been empty for the past 10 minutes. When is someone going to come and fix it?" And I have to stand there and take the abuse. What I'd really like to say to her is, "Oh, really? And tell me, what would you have done with these precious 10 minutes if you had them again? How many spins is that, huh, bitch?" I know the job is frustrating me when I go home at night after a particularly draining and annoying shift and search the internet for poisons that don't show up on autopsy reports. I picture Jim Jones and his silly little cult of followers all supposedly drinking the same poison, and then 10 minutes later, Jim gets up, dusts himself off, looks all around him at the hundreds of people lying there dead and says, "Ha! April Fools! I was only drinking Diet Coke." Or perhaps one day when it all becomes too much, the pressure that is, I'll find myself doing a coffee run and adding a certain little special something to the hot drinks. A little nightshade in the Nescafe here, a little arsenic in Angry Joe's Affogato there, here a drop, there a spray, and watch my problems go away. Then hey presto, a gaming room that is actually quiet for once, not that they would rest in peace. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's a special place in hell for all the hell they give us during the working day. It takes me a while before I tear my eyes away from the gaming area, long enough to spot the skinny Indian-looking girl on the other side of the bar. She's dressed rather plainly, and at the end of her skinny arms, she has these bright, shiny, silvery, bangle-looking things. "Hello to you," she says flatly. "My name is Jasmine, and I have interview with Christine this morning. Can you be letting her know that I've arrived?" Who the fuck is this bitch, I'm asking myself immediately. Let her know I have arrived indeed. I smile an empty smile as I knock on Christine's door. I learnt long ago that when in doubt, fake sincerity and kindness, just in case. Christine pops her head out of the door. "Yes, Mike, you require something?" "Someone is here for an interview," I tell her. And she looks across at the cashier's counter, then over to her left at the bar and beams at the girl. Damn it! Her fake smile is much more impressive than mine. "Right," Christine says, and then leaves her office to shake hands with this girl. "I'll be away for a while, Kate's out on the floor, you stick to cashiering, and if there are any problems or you need cash, don't hesitate to come see me." If it were anyone else besides Christine, I'd probably take them up on the offer, but since it's her, well, I'd happily chip in money from my own pocket if my cashier drawer got low just to dodge a conversation with her. God, I hate that woman. She never gives me the shifts or the hours I ask for. And since she's been here, my hours have been cut right down to the bone. After I've watched them leave the gaming area and head across to the restaurant side of the club, I spot Kate coming up to me at the cashier's counter. Of course. "So who's the new girl?" Kate asks me, her eyes following them until they've disappeared out of our sight. "I don't know," I say honestly for once. "But I don't like her." And Kate giggles a little at this. "Yeah, but you don't like anyone, Mike," she says, rolling her eyes. "That's not true," I counter quickly. "I like you, don't I?" And Kate just pokes her tongue out and walks off, scratching the back of her head with her middle finger as she does so. It's not difficult for me to imagine the conversation Christine's having with this Jasmine girl, regardless of what position she's applying for. In fact, it kind of reminds me of a joke. So a woman dies and ends up in hell, and before long, she's face to face with Beelzebub himself, aka the Prince of Darkness, Satan, Lucifer, and all the other names we have for the devil. He says, "Look, things are pretty tough around here and I could do with some help. All this administrative stuff to oversee and whatnot. Assistants are hard to come by. Why don't you come with me and I'll show you around the facilities? She, of course, agrees because, well, she has all of eternity now, doesn't she? Suffice it to say, hell is not what this woman had been expecting. She sees people being pampered in mud baths, spas, getting massages and lying and lazing around, and she thinks to herself, well, this isn't so bad now, is it? So she agrees and turns up to her new position early next morning. The devil is there same as before, but now everything has changed. The mud baths, spas and massages are no more. In their place are being stretched out over pits of fire, others are being poked with red-hot pokers, and they are all screaming in pain and agony. Still, others are sitting in cauldrons of boiling water and screaming for all they're worth. "But this is nothing like it was yesterday," the woman exclaims. "Nothing at all. Why is that?" And the devil smiles mischievously. "Because yesterday," he explains happily, "you were applying for the position. Today you're staff." Since my hell is here, and since hell wouldn't be hell without a familiar face, it's no surprise when I spot Julius waiting on the other side of the bar by the coffee machine. "Would you like a tea then, Julius?" I ask, and begin making one, already knowing the answer. "Sounds splendid, Mike. A dash of soya milk will do finely," Julius says, putting on airs with his pretentious upper-class English accent. "Sure," I say, and make him his tea as he looks over at the restaurant. I do say, "Is that Christina's interviewing a new girl?" Julius comments, "I do hope she's new cleaning staff because the last ones were doing a positively horrendous job. I went to use the gentleman's room just the other day, and I have to tell you, Mike, it was a simply frightful sight in there. I don't know if it gets cleaned in there much at all." "Well," I reply, "I've heard from Kate and the other girls that the ladies' room is just as bad, if not worse, actually." Julius thinks about this for a moment. Why do you suppose that is, Mike? And it's times like this that I wonder how anyone could be so naive. Unfortunately, since honesty is something we're supposed to keep to ourselves round here, I refrain from telling Julius the obvious truth. That being that most mug punters simply couldn't give a rat's ass about the people who have to clean up after them, and besides, those few seconds spent making sure it goes in the bowl or flushing could be spent having a few more spins now, couldn't they? "Margaret and I may have to find new cleaning staff too," Julius says as he sips from his tea. "You can't keep these sort of people on too long, and you've got to watch who you hire, or else we may have the problem Princess Diana had with her butler. Frightful story that, so difficult to trust the lower classes these days." Lower classes, I'm thinking to myself, that's a nice term for the guy who makes friendly conversation with you and serves you free tea, Julius, you prick, even though you don't play any of the machines. The morning drags on, and I go through my routine of keeping everything clean, doing my paperwork and dealing with the customers only when it absolutely, positively cannot be avoided. Then at some point, I look over at the bar and that same skinny girl is watching me through dark eyes. Damn it, that's creepy. How long has she been there for? I say, thinking aloud. Jasmine, wasn't it? "Yes," she replies, with a forced smile showing pearly white teeth. "That is correct. I will be starting here in gaming soon." Okay, I reply. "Right." We get to talking a little since it is pretty quiet today, and she explains that she is engaged, hence why she wears the ridiculous bangles as part of some Indian tradition or something. "Oh, so you're from India then?" I ask, hoping the fake interest in my voice sounds real as I say it, and she nods. It's not that I'm racist or anything, as Kate accurately points out I generally tend to dislike everyone. But I despise them all equally, especially the old people. When it comes to Indians, though, there's a particularly soft spot in my heart of darkness, a certain contempt, since when I look at them, they're always doing the laziest jobs. Taxi drivers, delivery people, tech support, and basically any job that allows them to sit on their asses and which requires little to no physical exertion. And security guards. Here at the club, we always have Indian security guards, no doubt, because they're the cheapest. But since they're providing security for the generally old, feeble-bodied and mind, it's not as if many physical fights break out around here. With the exception of Angry Joe, who has his outbursts, I've yet to see any of the old people king-hit each other for taking their favourite machine or any of the old ladies glass someone because they pinched their coffee or the last piece of pizza. Though, hope springs eternal. So, Mike, Jasmine says with that same forced smile on her face, what do you know about India then? I look back at her blankly as I stifle the response of well. I heard it was the rape capital of the world and that parents routinely kill their daughters for marrying someone of the wrong caste, which they refer to as an honour killing. But somehow it doesn't seem appropriate, and it would probably kill the buzz of her impending engagement. Maybe I'll save it for another time. I heard the Taj Mahal is kind of cool, I reply instead, and it sounds lame even to me. For some reason I'm thinking of Slumdog Millionaire and the huge divide in Jasmine's country between rich and poor. But then, after so long of working and gaming, it's just one more concept you get used to. One moment I'll be listening to Millie complaining about how she's put 1,000 in this machine today and haven't gotten hardly anything back, and the next I'm changing the last pieces of silver in someone's wallet so they can stick $10 into another machine. Jasmine talks about her upcoming driver's test. She's nervous about it and she's already failed it twice. At the moment it seems her fiancé is driving her to and from work. Wow, what a lucky guy I find myself thinking. I remember my driving test vaguely. Parallel parking was the one thing I kind of almost screwed up as I began by turning the steering wheel the wrong way. But I mean, really, how often in driving does parallel parking come up anyway? I scored a 94, which is probably the best I've done on any test. My driving instructor told me that the tester with me was one of the toughest guys in the state too. I really must going now, Jasmine says then, and as she spots Christine, she waves over to her. Bye, Christine. So lovely to meet you today. Shit, this girl can ass kiss with the best. She could go a long way in gaming, I ponder to myself. During the next couple of shifts I have with Jasmine, it becomes all too apparent just how inexperienced she is at this job. And as time goes by, I find myself questioning just why the hell she was given the job in the first place. For one thing, she stands out like a whore in church, and not just because she's one of the few Indian staff we have working in gaming. It's more about her behaviour and the way she talks to the customers, so very over the top and fake happy all the time that after an hour or two of listening to her ass-kissing chit-chat, I almost feel like I'm going to be sick. But since I'm a team player, or at least would like to give management the impression that I'm playing for the team, I go through the way cashiering is run with Jasmine, pointing out how cash orders work and how tickets are processed and so on. The whole time I'm training her, however, I can't help but hoping that the rotating door spins her out of this place and soon. And that, as the saying goes, the door doesn't hit her ass on the way out. But then she's such a dimwit that if she sticks around, they'll undoubtedly promote her to upper management. During a lull in proceedings, Julius makes an entrance as I'm showing Jasmine around the coffee machine and where to get coffee beans, sugar, and other stuff from. Hello, Julius says to us both, and Jasmine beams her blinding smile at him. At times like this, I'm not quite sure who to feel sorry for. Hello there, how are you this day? Jasmine says in her broken English. I'm doing splendidly, Julius says in his usual pretentious tone that just makes me want to jump the bar right then and there and beat the hell out of him. That's a very lovely suit you're wearing, Jasmine says. What is the special occasion? I'm getting married, Julius replies excitedly, and I just shake my head from behind the coffee machine, thankful he can't see me. That is wonderful news, Jasmine answers. Who is the lucky lady then? Princess Margaret, Julius replies, and Jasmine listens spellbound as he recounts his tale of his impending marriage. Wow, she says after listening to him waffle on for some time. You are so lucky to have found Princess Margaret. I am sure you two will be very happy together. Yes, Julius says. Margaret has been instrumental in helping me with my research. I don't know what I would do without her, in fact. Watching Julius, it's difficult to know just how much of his own bullshit he believes, if in fact he believes any of it. Research? Jasmine asks, a little confused. What research are you now talking about? Cold fusion, Julius says. I invented it, you know. Well, 200 types of it to be exact. Wow! Jasmine exclaims, and her eyes grow wide. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds amazing, doesn't it, Mike? Oh, yes, I replied dully. It does sound amazing. Is she really serious, I think to myself? Is she actually buying into this? If she isn't, then she should be considered for a fucking Oscar. Are you good driver, Mike? Jasmine asks me out of the blue then. Because I need someone to teach me car so I can pass my test. I reply hesitantly. I guess I'm okay. And as the conversation goes on, I find myself tuning out almost entirely. A part of me is still replying with the odd, oh, I see, or yes. Sounds interesting, as I watch another me walk over to the cashier's counter while a familiar tune begins to play. Gordy's Somebody. That I used to know, although there are no words here. And of course, in my imagination, as in real life, the old farts are still too absorbed in their goddamn machines to notice what's going on around them. The other me begins to sing. Now and then, I think of when you weren't such zombies. Doing stuff like lawn bowls, knitting and book clubs instead. But pokies came along and hooked you all. Now all you do is fucking break our balls. And the way you look, you could work as extras on The Walking Dead. And you can get addicted to the illusion that you're winning. Resigned to the fact that you'll lose it all in the end. You spend all day here, it just don't make sense. To a guy who can barely pay the rent. And all my fantasies here, they always end in murder. But you didn't have to blow it all. Get your pension, and then it's gone as if it was nothing. Retirement shouldn't be that hard. Just buy an ugly sweater and get in your golf cart. You guys have hit an all-time low. Dodging reality, it's why you're always here in numbers. You'd be better off with weed or blow, 'cause now you're just the boomers that I used to know. Now you're just the boomers that I used to know. What happened to the baby boomers I used to know? Now and then you bitch about how your life has fucked you over, making us believe your greed and health problems are not your fault. And now you're pissed off today. 'Cause I forgot your damn latte. I wish you'd fucking let it go, and you could all go back to being the boomers that I used to know. But you didn't have to piss me off, getting worked up over the fact your existence has come to nothing, bitching and moaning 'cause you all suck. Then you want another coffee, you can go get fucked. No, you didn't have to waste your dough. Have your friends take up a collection, and I'll spend it better. Invested in PS4 games and shows to forget about the boomers that I used to know. 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 What happened to the baby boomers I used to know? I tune out from my imagination then, instantly regretting the act as the club's truly horrendous music comes through again, and I hear Jasmine crapping on and on about something truly boring and inane. I look over at Jasmine, and she smiles that awfully fake, blindingly bright smile again as she looks back at me. So is okay then, Mike? Jasmine asks me. You can teach me car, yes? I don't know, Jasmine, I reply quickly. Just the thought of being in an enclosed space with her for hours on end with no escape is enough to chill my blood as I stand there. I swear this girl just does not ever shut up. I'd have to check my roster, I say, half-heartedly, and then open the door and sneak into the corridor next to the cashier's station to do just that. As I'm looking it over, a few things become apparent. Number one, I've been given all the shitty shifts again this week, working all the days I didn't want to. That is the weekend and Friday. Number two, it seems Jasmine has already been given more shifts than me. She's down for 5 days already and she's only just started here. God damn it. At first I thought the rotating door policy was largely due to the fickle nature of the young staff. They work here for a bit, save some money for a car or a holiday, and then as soon as a better offer comes along, they're off like a shot and out the door. But I'm starting to see there's more to it, like the fact that every new employee is handled with kid gloves, given the preferred shifts while those of us who've been around for a while are repeatedly shafted. And I have to wonder at this point, What's the use in being loyal at a place where A, loyalty and seniority aren't rewarded, and B, there's basically nothing to be loyal to? Then, as always, Jasmine is standing right beside me like a patient golden retriever, waiting for her owner to throw her a stick or something. Shit, that's bloody creepy. And how does she move around with all those ridiculous bangles on her wrists without making any noise? It's an absolute mystery. I just don't know if I'll be able to do it this week, Jasmine, I say, and her disappointment is evident as we walk back through to the cashier's counter. It seems that you are only working some days, Mike, Jasmine helpfully points out. Yes, not many days, I reply through clenched teeth. But the fact is that I said I would. I mean, I have to help someone move this week and, well, he has a lot of stuff. Okay, Jasmine says, seemingly undeterred. You teach me car when you got free time then. She laughs at this as if it's the funniest thing ever, and the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, and I freeze at this annoying, high-pitched grating sound. All the time, I'm resolving to myself never to make the mistake of uttering anything even remotely humorous while Jasmine is around. My God, that noise, it makes Fran Drescher's voice and annoying laugh seem pleasant by comparison. On the other hand, maybe a driving lesson would be just perfect. A nice quiet drive somewhere late at night. The Dandenong Ranges, perhaps, and I can just picture us pulling up somewhere and Jasmine looking around. Gee, Mike, she'd say, out in the middle of nowhere like this. Not a person around for miles, I'm sure. I could sing very loud and no one will hear. It's perfect. Yes, sing, I'd reply dryly as my hand stroked the hammer under my seat. Absolutely perfect. Of course, there are certain other considerations for me when thinking about whether or not I should teach Jasmine how to drive. Like, would I be doing it in my car or hers, if she has one, which I doubt? And if I teach her how to drive and this helps her getting to and from work, then will she get even more shifts? More importantly, if she has an accident in my car, is it worth it all if she writes it off? No car. But then, no Jasmine either. Things to consider. I then spot Katrina standing opposite the coffee machine, a short, blonde-haired, bespectacled, pear-shaped woman whose love of chocolate mousse has clearly gotten the best of her. I'll have a skinny cappuccino, she says to me as I happily leave Jasmine at the cashier and go to the coffee machine. Since neither she nor her equally revolting husband actually play any of the machines, I don't feel the slightest bit guilty about making the coffee as awful as possible. We start with coffee beans that have already gone through the filter once or twice. Then, as I'm pretending to pack the fresh coffee in, I push the button once more for good measure. 3 times. Line up the coffee mug and press it a 4th time and the smell of weak, watery coffee that comes through. Love that aroma. Not. I then pour some milk into one of the metal jugs, and when Katrina isn't looking, I pick up the other jug with the milk that's been sitting there since the end of the coffee rush this morning. I heat it up a bit and then slosh it all together to form possibly the most unappealing coffee served in the history of hospitality, and put it on the counter as she beams at me all the same. Wonderful, Katrina says, which is her usual mantra when I hand her a coffee. In fact, I'm pretty sure I could drop my pants and urinate right in her coffee as she watched, then give it to her, and she'd still think it was wonderful. Her husband looks on in his especially unfashionable old sweater and tracksuit pants that seem like they haven't been washed in a very long time. Either that, or he won them from a homeless person following a particularly long, drawn-out and nasty fight in a particularly filthy dumpster. We certainly attract the cream of the crop here at the club. After drawing out the act of cleaning the coffee machine for as long as possible, so as to avoid conversation with Jasmine, I go out onto the gaming floor to talk instead with the regulars, which I guess means I really am desperate to avoid her at the moment. You just watch, Vula is saying to a mug punter nearby. She gonna pay now. The number's been going round and around, and look at what the numbers are. She definitely gonna pay. I find myself wondering, given all the people who actually sit and watch other people's games for hours on end, if maybe there's money to be made off this. A hidden camera here, a microphone there perhaps, and hey presto, we've got ourselves the latest smash hit reality TV show, The Old and the Pitiful, I can just imagine the running commentary. "Vola's been here a while, John," one commentator would say. "You've got to be thinking if she doesn't have a win soon, she might be going home with nothing." "Yes, Jim," his co-commentator would reply. "Certainly a disappointing result for the veteran slots gamer. If we look at the statistics on the screen here, in fact, we can see that she's down 500 big ones for the week. Not exactly a record to be proud of, Jim. Wednesday was a particularly bad night for her. It seems she played for 6 hours straight and didn't collect a single cash ticket for the entire playing session on that particular evening." You're telling me, John, looks as if her system isn't doing so well at the moment? We see also, if we check her heart rate monitor, that it's somewhat elevated, and I have the feeling that if she doesn't take a cigarette break within the next 10 minutes or so, this could end badly. Well, Jim, let's take a break from Vula and see what Angry Joe is up to right now. Yes, he certainly seems to be upset about something. It appears he has reserved a machine, and wouldn't you know it, somebody else has come along and played it all the same. Well, this is a tragedy for the old man, especially since this newcomer seems to be doing rather well on this machine now. And the Greek curse words are flying thick and fast. We'll have to go to our subtitles to check exactly what's being said. "Yes, I believe it's you, motherfucker. You took my machine, you fucking bastard." And gee, look out. Angry Joe seems to have grabbed the player by the back of the head and is now proceeding to slam his head into the screen of the machine repeatedly. Well, this is a sickening blow for the other player, Jim. Absolutely, John. More importantly, it means that this particular machine could be out of action for days as we await a replacement screen. No telling just how much that could end up costing the club in lost revenue. Hell, it would probably be more entertaining to see than all the crappy reality TV shows they're showing at the moment. "Mic to machine 45, I hear and groan. Oh, great Jasmine's figured out how to use the microphone. Now I'm in for it. Overall, apart from the fact that she seems to be stealing everyone's hours, there's a few other things that just piss me off about Jasmine. For one thing, she has this uncanny ability to be always in attendance when there's praise to be awarded to staff by Christine or any of the higher-ups, and yet somehow, whenever blame is to be assigned, she's nowhere in sight. As well as this, she basically just stands at the cashier when she's cashiering, and that just means the rest of us have to work harder, covering both the gaming floor and the bar as well, going from fixing machines in a heartbeat to serving coffees while she stands there doing sweet fuck all. Most infuriating, however, is the way she ingratiates herself to the customers by being overly nice, and how there's generally a supervisor like Christine around when she does this, but there's never one around when she's standing there doing nothing. Murphy's Law in action once more, I suppose. At the end of my shift, I trudge off feeling somewhat betrayed yet again. And though I have almost nothing in common with the idiot mug punters at the club, I can't help but feel the way I'm sure most of them do. That feeling that I just have no luck whatsoever, and that I can't seem to ever catch a break around here. Oh well, at least my PlayStation 3 still respects me, which is more than I can say for most of the customers and the higher-ups at this dump. I head to my car in peace and solitude, thinking of only a few quiet hours with the TV on and a few games or shows for entertainment, and the maintenance of my ever-dwindling sanity.